Hello, welcome to Market Monkeys. We are the Market Monkeys. Well, he's a monkey. I'm just part of the market.
We are the Market Monkeys, but let me just say, before we start this episode, obviously Scott looking a little bit bland today, in me and my little bit brighter shirt.
Blinded me in that thing, man.
I hope I'm not blinding anybody with this bright shirt. Anyway, what we
today we're talking about strategy. Okay, so have a strategy when you enter in the market, especially when you're new. Okay, when I first started, let's go from there. I didn't have a strategy. I came in, I thought, I'll just start buying companies, and you're already more advanced than me. What are you laughing at?
I was laughing at you. Just have a go. Yeah, go on.
Well, you already had a strategy. Unbeknownst to me, I was just like, I can do this too. Great. I'll buy a bit of this, bit of that, and see what happens, right? You put all your eggs in one basket, expecting everything's going to be great, but it doesn't usually work out that way. So, anyway, after many, many years and much discussion with you, having a strategy is a fantastic way to basically understand what you're doing, where you're going, and also prepare for times that may be unseeable, okay? Because you can't always see what's coming. I know some people say, well, how do you know the market crash is coming? Maybe some people got lucky and they could see it because they were lucky enough to see what was going on. But the next time, not necessarily is that going to be the case, right?
Right.
And there's so many things that come into a market crash that you can't always see what's going on. And you can read the news and things like that, but it may not be in the news, It may be something that's unforeseeable, right?
Yeah.
So much like what happened in the US. Some people did see it happening and see it coming forward, and a lot of people didn't. Okay, so basically, by having a strategy, you take out that element of.
You're right, Scott. A lot of people didn't see it.
Yep.
Lehman Brothers didn't see it.
Right.
They just crashed and lost the company that had been going how large. So most people didn't see it, and all the major analysts didn't see it, but a few people did.
Yeah.
And you know what? Personally, with a strategy, if you always prepare for a correction or a crash, and you've got a certain amount of your portfolio
you expect the best, but prepare for the worst, right?
Right.
It's an old saying. So now, knowing that, you should structure your portfolio in that way. Okay. So another thing that you've always done is had stock in, say, Canada, America, and the UK, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and the reason for that is it works as like what I call like a helter-skelter, okay? So a helter-skelter is like in a fairground ride, there's two parts of steps, basically. One goes up, and then you shift over to the other, and it just takes you up. You just make minimal moves. So by having, say, at least three continents that you're on, when the UK and
North America.
But it was just Canada wasn't affected quite so much, right?
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't.
So basically, the opportunities were in the UK and in the US, where Canada wasn't affected. It seemed to just stay level, where those other countries declined greatly.
Yeah, greatly.
So luckily, because you have in a diversified portfolio amongst the other continents, you have now a good base to be able to what do they say? I forgot the name of it now. Basically, reanalyze what's going on and take cash and take some money and put it into possibilities that are happening in the UK and possibilities and opportunities in the US.
Yeah.
Right? So now, vice versa, maybe there'll be a crash here at some point, but maybe it won't happen in the US. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll happen everywhere, and you've got to also be prepared for that. So the thing is to try to not think, is there going to be a crash, but know that there will be a crash and already have a strategy in place so that you can take those opportunities that come to you, right?
Yeah. Well, even now I keep a certain number of percentage back in cash, even though at the time I'm not working at the moment, but that's another story. I keep a percentage in cash. Should anything come up, I'm not necessarily a crash, just a correction, because I'm always looking for that distressed stock or somebody's
opportunity,
media or something economically happening somewhere around the world that would make a difference to certain companies. So I always keep cash back. certain percentage, and no matter how much if you've got $10,000 and you want to keep 1,000 back or 2,000, that's where I'm at.
And as you increase as well, as your portfolio increases,
Yeah.
you should also increase that cash holding. Right?
Correct. Keep it the same.
Because a crash could happen at any point in time.
Or correction.
Or correction. You like that anyway.
Well, I don't want to go into the crash thing.
The thing is to be prepared.
Yeah.
And the thing is, or you can't see things coming all the time. Maybe you can. Maybe you're someone special and you're able to see it.
Like the Boy Scouts, be prepared.
There you go. You're having a good time.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's his bright shirt.
Yeah, it's blinding me, man.
I know the sun's coming in. But look, you need to keep a certain proportion back, right? And you can cover yourself in emergencies. I've done it myself, as you've seen.
Yeah.
And I didn't lose all my money. Don't get me wrong. When the crashes, I have seen dips when my stock's gone down 30, 40%. When Brexit happened, I mean, I think I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Did I sweat? No, I looked for more opportunity because I had that 10, 20%.
Because you always have that percentage. Percentage being between, I would say, between 8 to anything up to 20. I'd say any more than 20 is a bit too much, really.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to think of it as almost a pyramid, right? So you have the different sections, you know, where you have stability, and then you have, say, if you want growth companies, then you want your cash at the top to be a small percentage. Now, for instance, if the market crashed, this is all going to shrink underneath. So you could almost take that cash and double your amount of shares that you have underneath, right?
Yeah.
But still keep that same percentage because there's no saying that it could get smaller, right?
Yeah, but
so you've always
a lot of the time, if a continent crashes, stock market crashes, and you're in it heavily, and the pyramid goes down to that, and you've still got that 20% in cash or 10%, whatever you've got, it magnifies itself.
Absolutely, it might be about 50% of your
that's
portfolio.
Right. You can go and buy those stocks that you've got or other ones, and you can increase. This is a chance you're looking for, really. For me, it's an opportunity time.
See, this is what's happened in the past, is where everybody's got all of their assets, all of their money in assets. Then when it does crash, now what can you do? You can only just sit and wait and hopefully it comes back. You can't readjust or anything like that.
Well, that's why it's best, like you say, this is what we're going over and over here, just saying you need a certain amount of cash kept back.
And another thing is, like, because we have our own strategy, we could sort of tell you and impart what we do, but that doesn't always work for everybody. My strategy is slightly different to my dad's, and yours will be slightly different again. So when we say about different companies, you can put those together and have a strategy. So you don't want just one company, and I wouldn't say just 3 companies. I would say if you could get yourself a good amount of companies that you're comfortable with watching, and what will happen is, if one of those companies or 2 of those companies you made a mistake on and they go to nothing, the rest should be able to make up for it. And another thing that's really great that I also do myself is I look over, I go over, and the way I did a lot of research myself is figuring out and finding out about different companies. Now, trying to figure out whether different ideas work, you can go back in time, find out the information on a company and what they were earning, PE ratio. Okay, that's great, that makes sense. Would I have bought it at that time? And if I had, where would I be now, right? So like a year on, if that makes sense. So you're basically using a simulation with history. I've done it quite a great deal of times, and that's what really propelled me forward in understanding, that's what I should look for. I should look for this, I should look for that. Not the things that I thought I should be looking for, maybe, but the things that I look for that make sense and work. Okay? So, because sometimes you think, I should be looking for this. You read in a certain book and it's like, okay, do this, this, and this, and you do it and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So you can put that plug that information into past information that's available. Then you can say, okay, if I would have bought at that period of time, would that have made sense and did it work? Now, you may have, the thing is with it though, is that you can look back and have the right company and it did work out properly, but the share price still went down. Just because it went down doesn't mean you're wrong. That's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. You got to stick with what you're looking at.
So if you think you've done your research properly and things go down, you sit tight and wait for them to turn. And sometimes I've sat and waited years and sometimes thought I've been wrong, but if I believed in what I've done,
well, this is why you need a diverse portfolio. When I say diverse, I don't mean 100 companies. I'm saying as many as you can manage. I would say more than 5, because each one of those 5, if you've got it spread equally, you're looking at 20% per each one, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got 10, that's 10% per each one. So as a whole, if one was to go pop, I'm not saying it will, but if it were to, you've got to have the other 9 have got to go up, what, 11%?
Yeah.
To cover that one company.
Yeah.
So it's all something you need to look
at.
Like
you
say,
yeah, you have to look at it that way, yeah. So, but I've, at the moment, you've got to stick with things that you believe will come through for yourselves. At the moment, I'm holding Home Capital Group, right, in Canada. It's not done well over the past year. Look at the stats and everything. It's just crashed, lost all their dividends, but I'm still hanging in there because I'm relaxed about it, because I believe this company will come through, right? When? I don't know. Crystal ball I haven't got. But when it comes through and the dividends come back, you look like a genius. You're not doing anything, you're just sitting tight and just patience. And I've learned a lot of patience, because I'm not a very patient person. Well, I've had to become, because you either become one of those people that when everybody else is selling, you're selling. Well, that's not the way to go.
Well, that's it. That's the thing as well, is when things are crashing, everybody panics.
Yeah.
And I've been in that situation where you're like, oh, what do I do now? If you have a plan and a strategy, you don't panic, because you're like, I'm planned for this. So if it does go down,
well, you get concerned. You just sit.
You do get concerned. You think,
I'm not jumping on with the
crikey,
lemmings.
that's happening a bit quick.
Yeah. I'm not going to jump on with the lemmings, because they're all diving off the cliff.
I got my money sat ready. I'm waiting. When the opportunity comes up, when things settle down a bit, let the knife fall, let it hit the floor, let it wobble a bit, sit there for 6 months. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take this chunk of cash and I'm going to invest it. And when it comes back to where it was, I'm not any longer going to have $500,000. I'm going to have 1.3 million, because I was able to use that cash to, right? Am I right?
Yeah,
absolutely. So that's what we're gonna. That's what we do, and that's what works. And we've had it work over many years, right?
Yeah.
So you want to say something? Go on.
I'm going to say is we're done.
We're done? I wanted to cover one more thing, actually.
Okay, go on then.
Go on then. So the one more thing I was going to say as well, we had a question the other day about whether to take out debt in a crash situation.
A loan.
Okay, so there's different ways. I just wanted to quickly tackle this question. You have done it before, right? You've taken out like quite a large loan, to me anyway, but not to you, but a large loan. But the situation is that I would recommend it only in certain circumstances. So I'd say something like, what do they call it?
Line of credit.
Line of credit. So you have a smaller, if you can get a line of credit, get a line of credit. There's no situation where you have to pay like every month a certain amount, right? So it can vary. Now, if you were able to get that line of credit, that would be great. And as long as you can cover, if you could get companies with dividends that were able to still pay their dividend, you have to look at the payout ratio.
Yeah.
But then you've got to look at, is that dividend able to pay my interest alone? And then the growth of the companies will be itself your own profit.
That's free money.
That's free money.
That's what I did.
But the thing is as well to look at, don't do margin. The reason is when you're in a crash scenario and you start taking out a margin thinking you're going to be going to the upside, there's very, very high volatility. And you could get a margin call at any moment, right? Am I right? Am I wrong?
You're right.
I know, but I'm just saying, there's high volatility, okay? Majority of the time. So you could place an order thinking, wow, I've got the bottom, it's going to be great. It drops another 10% in a day because of the high volatility. And the bank calls you up, says, we want our money back, plus you owe us another 50 grand. You don't want to be in that position, because now you don't have any money, 2, you owe 50 grand. And then the next day or 2, it shoots back up. So if you were to get a loan, it's separate.
A line of credit.
A line of credit, because it could go down 50% before it comes back up again. But if you've got a loan or line of credit, as long as you're paying the percentages, they're happy, right?
A line of credit's a lot cheaper, obviously, than a loan.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's backed by.
Just thought I'd throw that in. I know you know. But I know as well. Yeah. But market monkeys over now. Don't worry about thinking if
He's
there's
a
anything.
bright one. He's a bright one.
I'm the bright one. Right, if there's anything here to subscribe, just subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks.